Afternoon and welcome once again to Gaming Under the Influence. I'm Mike here with Alex, coming to you from GreenDragonCVR in Woodbridge to talk about video games.
Yes.
It's been a couple of weeks and a couple of big games later, hasn't it?
Oh man, I think at the risk of sounding like a broken record, it needs to be said though, what a big year for games. Like another two games that we have hardly even had a chance to sit down and talk about on the channel because we've been so busy. But two really big games: Armored Core 6, Fires of Rubicon.
And Starfield. Which I really didn't think we would be talking about honestly, on this channel at all. Did you?
Agree. No.
Other than to say, fucking it, turned out to be a turd. Yeah. But man, another year of, another instance of shattered expectations this year. Like, exactly in proportion that I thought I would just fucking love Final Fantasy, and I kind of ended up being lukewarm on it. I thought I would hate this game, and I fucking really like it. Yeah,
it's very interesting the way that worked out.
It is strange, and it goes to show, like, brand loyalty is not a reality. It's it's nonsense, right?
It definitely is.
You got to go where the games lead you, even if that means suffering an Xbox One Series X whatever install time.
Oh god!
And figuring out how to stream.
Your first experience, first experience with
that
the
was
Xbox
not positive.
console.
But I don't really think that. Let's not even get bogged down in it. It doesn't matter.
No.
Who cares?
Yeah.
It's totally inconsequential. In the first place, though, like something of an impression or a review of Armored Core 6, and I think it goes without saying that, being a FromSoft game, I was just inordinately excited for this, and it didn't let me down in any way. I fucking loved Armored Core 6, and the first thing that I found remarkable was that, like, it has the exact same themes as most Miyazaki-era FromSoft games, like how the fucking Souls games are about man finding the fire being discovered and Gwyn trying to, like, take it for himself and it leading to the decomposition of the fucking kingdom that he tried to build. Like, there's, like, this stuff called fucking Coral, which is, like, some sort of, like, conscious energy fucking source, that a bunch of corporations are trying to use for profit and fucking industry, and there's different factions involved, including some entities that live in the coral itself, trying to fucking advise you to do something else, right? And you have a choice, just like in the other games, to transcend the human condition or try and find some alternate state of existence that doesn't involve you just taking the stuff for yourself and trying to perpetuate your own identity and fucking interests, right? And so that's pretty conventional in that respect, and the surprising thing is how well that jives with, like, a totally different gameplay formula.
Different kind of game.
Radically different game in terms of progression, fucking what you're doing moment to moment. There are some, like, elements of the Souls games that pop up here, like fucking break meters and stuff that are evidently from Sekiro,
like Sekiro,
right? There's dodge mechanics, a lot of the same. You can parry even. There's a shield if you want to use it, right?
Yeah, I guess that your energy gauge could be considered like a stamina bar too, right?
It is,
because you use it to fly around and then you have to drop.
That's right,
for your dodge as well.
That's right. But a lot of people were saying, like, this is Souls and robot, but it's
not
very
though.
much
That's
not. Not if you ever played a Souls game. You know what I mean?
Lots of similarities, but at the same time, it definitely retains its own DNA, like from Armored Cores of the past, and as well as just this game in itself being its own thing.
The fucking biggest thing, like the moment-to-moment gameplay that differentiates it from other From games, is that it's focused, at least most of the time, depending on your build, on mobility. Like, there's a lot of movement involved. If you're not moving around constantly, you're probably fucking losing.
If you're not moving, you're done. You're finished.
There's a lot of mobility involved, whether that's just speeding side to side trying to strafe, or like dodging stuff actively,
flying up and down.
If you have bipedal legs there, that's probably your course of action. But that's the first thing that you gotta move a lot in a Souls game. But here it's like actually about traversing the battlefield at swift, like at great speeds to avoid attacks and try to land your own, right? So it's a very different gameplay loop. Like, they take the same concept, to say it's like Souls would be to say that any game that involves you avoiding attacks and landing your own
is like Souls. It's a little more complicated than that, and exactly, it's not it's not the same as a Souls game at all in that regard.
In that respect, other than it being this circumscriptive action game where your inputs are supposed to be closely mirrored by what the character is doing on screen, but again, that doesn't make it a Souls game, right? And I think the other thing that makes it very much not a Souls game is the progression. It's not only mission based, but it's very forgiving in how it lays out the checkpoints and stuff like that, right?
Yes.
Not and every time you die, you restart with full healing
ammo,
items,
full health and everything. There's nothing even close to that in any Souls game.
You don't lose anything when you die here, right? You just get set back slightly.
True.
So it's very much not a Souls game in terms of its progression, and I don't really think in terms of its moment to moment gameplay either, which is a robot, like, fucking mech shooter mobile shit. Mobile in the sense that a lot of movement up and down, side to side. Like, it's not like Souls, and which is also not a shooter,
Right,
And I really enjoy that the translation of those themes, which are dear to me, to this fucking novel fucking gameplay format that I hadn't played since I was 12 years old, right?
Yeah.
And the building, which is also a key element according to the designers, is fucking here in full force, and it's awesome, right? Like, it's hard to really get into the fucking details of it, but you know, you have like fucking an energy budget and a weight budget, and depending on fucking what you want to put on your guy, you have to allot those differently, right? Like,
yeah, the cool thing for me was that instead of it's kind of the opposite of Souls in that regard, where you would sort of focus into one build. This game encourages you to sort of try different things. Yeah, especially early on when you have access to limited parts.
Yeah.
You sort of experiment, try different things, kind of fuck around.
Yeah.
I mean, at some point, I know we kind of locked into a specific build.
Still, you might change it up circumstantially, though.
Yeah, you might still find upgrades like those, like the I can't remember what they're called, but like the battery packs or whatever the things. Those fucking things.
The generators and
generator shit, whatever.
You can even change your lower parts or your higher parts.
Yeah.
Then
whatever.
The cool thing is, like, you know, every time you die, suppose you're doing a boss and you die, it gives you the option to like change
reassemble,
and you change your assembly like before you go back into the fight. So it's obviously encouraging you, like, you know, if this weapon's not working for you, try a different one.
Just try other stuff. Yeah, that's the cool thing too, right? It's just like it really encourages that you to use the extensive customization that they have in the game, and it's wild
Souls,
that it's all there as a part of just this game.
Think of like Elden, though, or something. You can't really experiment with too many weapons because you have finite resources to upgrade them with. So if you want to, like, right at the end of the game, change your weapon, unless you're willing to go through fucking 20 hours of trying to get these hard resources, these rare resources, it's unlikely, right? Yeah. You can maybe do one or two over the course of your playthrough.
Yeah, that's fair, probably. I guess.
But respecing is generally a tedious thing you want to avoid, right?
You'd almost rather just start a new game and start a new character than like, but
it is usually
maybe not an Elden Ring.
You can respec even easier than you can fucking find a new weapon, really, right? The respec you can usually pay a set fee for, but getting the rare upgrade materials is usually tedious, and there's a finite amount in each playthrough, right?
Exactly.
So it's it's a bit different in that respect too, but
it's awesome that you're kind of encouraged to mess around with all these parts, and you can you can sell them back for the same cost that you purchased parts for.
There's no penalty of any kind.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's
amazing.
It's cool. Encouraging you to fucking experiment. There's no upgrading of those parts at all or anything.
No.
So it's more when people use the word arcadey, I guess they mean these like almost like serialized instances of gameplay and fucking interaction with the world, and that this fits that template to me.
Yeah, probably because it's like mission based. You jump into little, maps per mission and whatever. But it also is like part of the narrative, right? That's how the story progresses, right? In between bits, you hear the dialogue. You need to understand what's going on, right?
I love
it's cool.
How is it? You know what I just realized? It's amazing you never see a fucking human face.
No,
in the whole game, you don't see a person's face. Like, there's plenty of character interaction. The character is either not human, just jacked into robots and they can't move. You know what I mean?
They're armored cores.
They're a million miles away. For general purposes, I think, like, comparing a game like a Miyazaki game here, where the focus is not on people, it's on the concepts in the world, compares very favorably to games like, let's say, fucking God of War, where they have all of this world building, but it's totally fucking impoverished and in service to some fucking idiot's personal motivations, right? So I think that's the difference here. And I think that might be a good fucking place to get into Starfield, because I wanted to start this off by saying it's really interesting that God of War is a game where you got these mythological elements and they fucking try and inject like scientific quote unquote realism and like fucking explain it with like modern conventions about like, fucking machines and like fucking alternate places in the universe you can visit, or fucking multiverse. Yeah, this game, like, it has these elements of scientific realism, probably overlapping ones, but it fucking totally jettisons them in favor of like space magic and fucking mythological and religious themes. So I really like that fucking... I wanted to lead with that before I forgot, actually, but it's one of the many ways that Starfield has totally surprised me. I knew I was going to love Armored Core. I thought I was going to think this was fucking hot shit.
Yeah, I've been in the same camp, and I haven't played Starfield, so disclaimer, I have not touched it yet, but hopefully soon. But Armored Core, obviously, we knew we were going to like. I liked old Armored Cores, and I like everything FromSoft makes nowadays, so that was almost a shoo-in. But
confident because you were faith in the artist that he's going to make something good.
But now this time, like, I don't know, I just didn't feel like I trusted Bethesda.
I didn't after
to
76.
pump out a good, RPG in the vein
Yeah.
of like their next
Yeah.
Skyrim. Basically,
Yeah.
that's how they
Yeah.
sold this game to
Same.
everyone. This is Skyrim in
I didn't think
space.
that could happen.
I was like, yeah.
Any more than I think BioWare can come back and fucking make a Mass Effect 4,
that I'm pretty
right?
sure you're
Like,
right about, but
yeah, I thought for sure, but it
in
turns
this
out
case, yeah,
that was actually a poorly researched opinion on my part, because it turns out that like fucking Todd Howard wasn't even the director of 76. It wasn't even the fucking
I
the main
think
people
76
involved. It
never
was like,
had a chance, and
it was like a B team effort, bro.
Exactly,
You know
yeah,
what I
like
mean?
they
and they trotted that fucking idiot out to, you know, like talk it up after the fact, which must have been embarrassing for him. But
Yeah. I don't
like
think it was a proud moment for anybody there, and
No.
they should just sweep it under the rug,
Yeah.
bury it, shoot it in the fucking head, and
that was a
move
bad
on, right?
time.
Like,
Yeah,
just not a
hey,
good.
it seems like the funny thing is, man, that's the kind of game you'd expect them to make after Microsoft bought them.
That's
you know what I mean,
right? Like, I mean, they must have been in development for years and years at this point. Yeah, it's the same thing with Redfall. To our surprise, we thought Microsoft made them work on it, but that was just Arcane fucking totally botching their shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess Starfield was already in development, and like you said, we thought Microsoft would be like, hey, make some bullshit like Fallout 76, but turns out that was just Bethesda being Bethesda.
Hey man, whatever fucking happened, it worked out great.
Yeah, also working on Starfield at the same time, and now it's here. And
I feel like almost unreservedly optimistic about this one against all my expectations. Like all the things I'm rolling over in my head, trying to fucking like. So far, I'm maybe like I think I'm almost 20 hours in now.
Okay.
I'm just trying to go through the main story because of the way New Game Plus is set up, and I'm gonna delve into all the other secondary mechanics and.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, because of how it's.
That's a lot of that. You know, of Skyrim and apparently Starfield is to explore and to not do the main quest. With,
but here they have it set up in such a way that it's almost a good idea to fucking save that for a second playthrough. I can just touch on that.
It sounds like it would be like almost like an MMO kind of thing where you do the main quest, you gear up, and now you're free to jump into New Game Plus.
Here it literally like it changes the story.
Right?
Like you see a more full story in New Game Plus because of the way the narrative is arranged. It's very clever, actually. I fucking was impressed when I read about how all that shit was like. Well, how it all works out. I was like, man, you know, and like I just said, it's fucking hilarious that. Shit, I don't want to start with the ending. You know, we can just say like the fucking game in the first place, other than the fucking load times, at least for me on Xbox, in the first place, it's technically it plays and looks good. Okay, you know, I like playing. Yeah, it's fun. It looks good. The fucking it controls well, other than not being able to adjust the dead zones on the fucking sticks, which I don't like.
Yeah,
but,
that's weird.
Yeah, you got to work with that. But otherwise, it's a Bethesda game that runs and plays well. So that's fucking cool, man. And what you find yourself doing moment to moment is also largely fucking awesome. There's also obviously shooting like you'd expect. There's all the fucking Bethesda conversations, the RPG elements, which are good, man. The writing is quality as well. But there's shipbuilding and flying ships and fucking that to me is like I spent a lot of time on it so far.
I bet that's like
awesome.
right up your alley.
It's awesome.
How are the guns? Like, what kind of weapons do you use? Like,
I've seen some pretty different guns so far, but most of them have been grounded in realism. They do have like some laser rifles, but they don't have any. I haven't seen any crazy alien shit yet. It's all just like basic rifle, pistol, shotgun, fucking.
And you
stuff.
like upgrade them and stuff? Or like
you can modify them, yes, and find better versions of them, but. I don't know how far that's going to go. I haven't really
like it's not like
into that shit.
It
doesn't seem that way.
Like that, right?
It doesn't seem quite loot based, but like a bit lighter than Cyberpunk on that, I think, because you do find. But then again, it does have like color coded gear, so maybe it's more or less in the vein of Cyberpunk. Yeah, I would go with that. Yeah. Looter light, maybe. I would say. Not like Neo, where it's like the core conceit of progression, but there is some of that fucking coded gear and like legendary items and shit like this.
Too much, man.
Yeah, I mean, like since that you know when you start New Game Plus, you just get rid of all your weapons. I'm not even gonna give a fuck about what I'm geared in this playthrough.
Yeah.
Just using whatever I got. It's not, and another thing that's cool is it doesn't ask you for difficulty for options at the start.
Yeah,
you can go in and modify it, but there's just one that it starts you on, which I like because it's obviously telling you this is how we balance the fucking game.
This is normal, regular difficulty.
I like that. So in that respect, it's fucking a competent game that you will enjoy playing from moment to moment. And I haven't even fucking gotten into building bases and all that stuff. It's just as a fucking Bethesda RPG, like, you know, what you'd expect when you hear that word, it's good. And getting into the writing and world building, that's of course where I think like fucking this kind of stuff lives or dies. And I think the writing and world building is sick, man. I've really been enjoying
that because now I do want to play it instead of before where I was pretty like cynical about the whole thing. I was kind of like, we'll wait and see. But now I feel like jumping in.
Yeah. And to me, like, you know, just like with Final Fantasy, like sounds fucking counterintuitive, but I always fucking look at how a thing will end before I invest time in finishing it. A novel, a game, it doesn't matter. If it's a fucking narrative, you know, understanding the fucking concept that it's trying to communicate will fucking infinitely enrich your ability to appreciate the thing, right? And I think that's true with games here too. What is it trying to say to you? What's going on as you play it, right? And exactly as much as I didn't like the fucking world building in Final Fantasy for fucking all of its political themes and the fact that it had a sort of like fucking just this nihilistic view of reality where it's made by this evil god and it shouldn't even be, right? It's unnatural. To even exist is unnatural in the world of Final Fantasy 16. It's weird, right?
Very weird.
Yeah, but here, like, they've got this fucking whole... I'm just gonna spoil the game. I'm sorry.
Okay.
For anybody listening.
If you don't want to be spoiled.
Yeah.
Skip.
The whole point of this game is you're some fucking bum miner. You dig up some artifact with glowing lights. You have a trip. You hallucinate to fuck, and then some weird space explorers come and find you and say, "Hey, bud, you're like fucking you're tripping balls, and you're gonna help us find the rest of them now. You've like been touched by this fucking cosmic force that, you know, now you're gonna go with these space explorers who induct you into their guild, and you go find the other parts and." You know, it leads
you the Dragonborn.
Yeah, essentially, yes. You're the space Dragonborn. You're called literally the Starborn at the end. No. I'm not even fucking with you. Yeah, the Starborn.
Oh man.
Yeah, fucking Todd Howard's like, fuck you. It's so funny.
Skyrim in space.
Yeah, and the whole game like leads you through these fucking, you know, a series of like fucking philosophic complications. Essentially, there's all kinds of conversations going on all the time where people are like, what do you think is more important, fucking making money and progress or achieving like fucking something of softer importance, like art and this and that, you know? And people talking about religion and science all the time and fucking all this crazy shit, man. Different factions and religions that all have like fucking a political presence in the world that you interact with either conversationally or in combat. It's just a fucking, you know, I guess I'm kind of conflating two things here, but the writing and the actual characters you see are as cool as the broader vision of reality and human nature that they're intended to convey, you know? So I guess both the world building in its broad strokes and the actual plot and characters and all that shit, they're cool. Like, I really like them.
It doesn't feel weird like having all of those themes in a space setting rather than like an Eastern European medieval fantasy.
No, it's fucking awesome, actually. Like I was saying with God of War at the beginning, the great thing here is how fucking they have this, like, they literally call it NASA punk. It's supposed to evoke like modern or fucking, you know, recent past, like real like scientific human shit. Like you could fucking look at the spaceships and see, like in your mind, they say in the interviews about the fucking art direction, like, yeah, we could see how we might actually get to this one day from our current technology, right? It's supposed to be like this linear fucking presentation of technology, not like totally outlandish. Yet in spite of that, this outward like fucking almost realism, they fucking are totally like, it's almost like, you know, you feel like the guy who wrote it, like he is trying to like shit on like fucking scientific realism, you know, the idea that like with experiments and stuff you can determine the nature of the world, right? And it goes full space magic at the end. It's not at all like fucking interested in, you know, presenting you with some like fucking hard science fiction or anything like that, right? So like I said at the beginning, it's interesting this game versus God of War, because God of War takes this fucking mythological subject matter and fucking tries to make it real. This starts with the same realism and fucking totally makes it mythological. Totally strange and out there. And the game ends with like these fucking artifacts leading you to this. It's this thing called the Unity, this like fucking metaphysical singularity at the center of the universe that all things like where they like touch each other and become one or something, you know, and it's put there by the creator, and you like ask this. You see yourself at the center of the universe saying, I led you here so that you could understand the nature of reality. You know, that's why the creator fucking made this shit. And you're like, can I see God? And they're like, nah, you can't. You know?
Nah.
You say to yourself, no, you can't. And you're like, yeah, the whole fucking universe exists. And these things exist just to lead you to the fucking place you are now so you could understand all of the stuff you see.
Okay.
Fucking weird and classical nature, vision of human nature.
Crazy, man.
You know? It's so like, not what I would expect from fucking some American guys to write in the 21st century, right?
And that might be why it's gonna be good. It is good. I can't wait to jump in, man.
There's a line that the guy says, he's like, is the creator one or many? I guess you won't find out, you know? Like, there's like, what are you talking about, man? This is, you know, I was impressed by all of these themes, to say the least. I was like, man, that's cool. This is a fucking exactly as much as I was like, Final Fantasy 16, like a fucking angsty high schooler wrote that fucking shit. This is fairly thoughtful and fucking stuff, you know? Like, it's pretty well conceived, and what a fucking mindfuck, you know? Like, you are talking to yourself, but it's not really like you. It's like fucking...
It's cosmic you, I don't know. Like,
yeah, and at the end, you're given the choice to, like, fucking merge with the fucking unity at the center of the cosmos and just live out infinite fucking versions of your own life, and with the full knowledge you have. So you start New Game Plus.
That's New Game Plus,
New Game
right?
Plus.
Yeah,
you start New Game, but you know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
So now, like, every conversation you have practically, you can imagine a game where the whole plot is about finding out exactly that shit. Now you know it.
Now you're there and you know it,
every conversation you have, there's probably like a fucking new dialogue option where you're like, yeah, we're not going to go exploring, bro. We don't need to, right? Like, you can literally tell Constellation, the guild that picks you up at the beginning, who you are and what's happening. You know what I mean?
Holy fuck.
Circumventing the whole story, opening up new dialogue options, right? Like, it's a totally...
That's wild.
Yeah, so that's why I don't even want to do the fucking the secondary stuff until I have that.
Yeah, so just bum rush through the play through main quest, and
it's
then,
a more full game. It's literally you get to see like the secret endings, the secret dialogue. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
And that's a fucking, on top of all the fact that it's like cool in fictional and thematic terms, like how sick is that as a New Game Plus?
Yeah, I mean,
you know what I mean?
It's like, it's almost in universe.
Yeah.
It makes sense, right? You know what I mean?
Armored Core's New Game Plus is sick too, because you can only see the true ending after playing the game three times,
yeah.
And in the second playthrough, right at the first or second mission, new options open up. You can do harder fights. There's new arena fights. So New Game Plus is a new game in Armored Core, and it's just like that here too, right? Both of these games have really sick approaches to it.
It's kind of sort of like part of the fucking package, like where you're supposed to play through these multiple playthroughs, right?
That's right.
It's almost like canon. It's wild, man, what's been going on for these last two, big games coming out that both have the similar.
I really like that. I never played New Game Plus, even in games I love.
I usually don't either.
But that I'm gonna play, and I did play Armored Core. I'm almost done the first New Game Plus.
True.
So,
yeah. Very nice.
Yeah, man. Starfield. It's a fucking trip.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so cool building your ship, and like you assemble it. It looks like Lego, but then you go and you stand outside.
And it's massive. Yeah, that tripped me out when you showed me that. Like, you're building it. It looks like a little scale model, right? And then you fucking jump into the game, and it's like this massive thing. You're just like, whoa, dude, get in, fly around, I guess, right? I think I might try and jump in tonight, or I'll play Armored Core. Either way, I win. Can't go wrong, right? It's been a hot year for sure, man. Lots of great games.
Yep.
And we're not even finished yet. We're gonna probably do another video recapping that.
Yes, we will.
See where we are at this point, and then see what's on the horizon for the rest of the year, the last few months.
We'll do another video in a short while with more detailed information about these games, I suppose. We can do like specific subject matters.
Yeah.
But yeah, fuck Starfield, man. Armored Core, both great games. I like the world building and fucking how it's expressed in gameplay in both of these games. I really enjoy inhabiting both of those worlds. I've not been that enthusiastic about a game in quite some time.
True. I have to agree. I have to say,
I've been like kind of
at least about Armored Core, but hopefully Starfield soon. Like I said, jump in maybe tonight.
I don't know, getting back into these games in any case, and
definitely.
We'll get back to you guys sometime soon with more information on both. Thank you very much.
Oh yeah.
Take care of yourselves.